There's never been an easier time to get your artwork in front of eyeballs if your aim is to sell your art.
Because as an artist, we're taught, you're taught how to paint. You love what you do, you paint what you love, but actually trying to sell your work took something else, and running a business took something else.
What happens when you begin to understand and get a better grip and dig into marketing, it actually helps you in the creation of your art. You wouldn't think it would necessarily, but what it begins to do, it helps you start to get a grip on your audience that you're creating the art for.
Welcome to the BoldBrush Show, where we believe that fortune favors the bold brush. My name is Laura Orango-Bear, and I'm your host. For those of you who are new to the podcast, we are a podcast that covers art marketing techniques and all sorts of business tips specifically to help artists learn to better sell their work. We interview artists at all stages of their careers, as well as others who are in careers tied to the art world in order to hear their advice and insights. For this episode, we brought together a compilation of our past guests sharing their tried and true marketing strategies for building a recognizable presence in the art world. They discuss the importance of chasing your own authenticity first, rather than chasing the market, making sure you have social media in order for others to see your work, and they emphasize that one of the keys to having a good presence is having a professional website. You'll also hear insights on crafting your personal brand by focusing on painting what you love, writing email newsletters to keep fans connected, and networking by attending in-person events and meeting fellow artists and gallerists. Additionally, our past guests recommend things like taking small business classes to improve your marketing know-how, and possibly even hiring a marketing coach. For those of us navigating the business side of art, this episode provides invaluable tips on balancing genuine expression with smart self-promotion. Tune in to discover marketing techniques that can elevate your career, and remember that there is no art marketing without first having art.
It's called Kathie Odom, first of all.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And
I always say I have veto power.
And she,
and I do, and I use it.
She does. I mean, it's not my name out there, and it's not my work. I've never painted one single brush stroke on any painting of hers, of course. Mm-hmm. And so I'm here to say, I'll do everything I can to help you continue to paint and teach, and yes. whatever that takes. And we are empty nesters. I mean, we have 5 grandkids, and they live in other cities, not too far away, but far enough to keep us with some extra hours, if you will, to be able to apply toward the marketing of that. And
I would say that when we did start thinking in that way of marketing, something that was just resound in me was it's got to be about the art, not just a unique way of showing the art. I mean, although that all of that happens, but first and foremost, the first thing is it's got to be about the art. And I think instead of, Buddy has ideas just constantly, and they've been great ones. And I would say FASO has been a gift to us. And the fact that it offers, I would say, the best marketing thing we have done, which is totally Buddy, putting it together, has been the newsletter connection on our website, which is our FASO website. And I know that that's who I'm talking to right now, but I would say this to anybody, that was a tool that has gone out. We've done a newsletter once a month.
For about 8 years.
For 8 years. It happens at the beginning of the month, sometimes a couple of days late, but I've never seen somebody stay on something like Buddy has. And it's all about what's happening now. What workshops are we, am I teaching? What trips are we going on? Where are we? What have I been painting lately? And that has been probably one of the best marketing tools
It's
definitely.
Yeah, way to go, Faso, way to go. But it is, anyone listening, I'm telling you, start a newsletter. You know, the best time to plant a sequoia is, once heard, was like 800 years ago. The second best time to plant a sequoia is today. So you start something we've gone 8 years at this every month, and it's not too much by, we haven't done it every 2 or 3 weeks or 1 week, and we haven't skipped times. We've just stayed steady, and her following has grown over 8 years all by itself. And people subscribe to the newsletter.
Hopefully the paintings had a little something.
Had nothing to do with it whatsoever. Because it's a full circle to what she's really saying is it's about the art. And of course there's an artist behind the art, but you lead with the beauty, and then you find out who's, busy creating that and how she goes about it, and you become very intrigued with that. But if you're not hooked on the art, I mean, how are you going to get hooked on creating something that you don't care about? So yeah, it's about travels and workshops and galleries and new release paintings. And
I think, well, we both have been talking lately about just diversifying, just not getting in a groove and just staying there. So we definitely, I do plein air events. I teach workshops. I work in the studio. I go out with my friends here in my area to plein air paint.
She's in galleries. She's done a book. So there's so many different things to diversify, so that when something like COVID hits and really shuts one or two of the sides down.
So we got into Zoom teaching during COVID, and that was amazing. Just how many. I mean, there is the word courage, because I said I would never, ever do anything where I was recorded.
Like this.
And here I am with you. I mean, I had a horrible experience at the University of Tennessee being told that I had a disease of the voice. So it's just been a PTSD thing. But anyway, even to put a book out, this was the conversation that went on. I'm not ready for a book. I haven't painted enough to have a book. I mean, it took the courage and my grandchildren, because I thought, okay, let's put a book together. This has happened, and it's a unique, wonderful story. And I don't know how unique it is. I think there's a lot of us that get a late start, that have put our life toward other things. But it was like, okay. And the book really speaks to that. What can happen if you have the courage to do it? And on the cover, Kathie Odom, Let the Art Speak, is the name of it. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And Buddy is a much more, we are complete opposites. And we really are. And truthfully, if I didn't have someone like him in my life, courage would have gone out the window. I have to have courage to be married to him. I mean,
I'm a strong drink of water. Let's just say.
But all of that, and us knowing each other and trusting and having ideas, we are talking ideas all the time. And
because part of that is because we've seen what has happened. I mean, we're not opposites when it comes to bringing beauty. We're just all about it. Both of us are. So we have these ideas or thoughts, and a lot of it has to do, how can we inject courage into someone else so that this might, just ripple on and keep going. And that's with the grandkids too. I mean, they're going to have some copies, and Lord willing, they're going to grow old. And if you know, maybe they'll have kids and grandkids and you know, so it might just kind of keep on going in that respect too. But if we can inject some courage into anyone to turn your computer off, stop watching this video right now, and go pick up a brush. You know, if we any of those sort of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think social media is one of the biggest drivers, let's say. It's so many people, most of the people, they come through this funnel. So social media, email marketing, like mailing list. Yeah, and offline as well. But yeah, I would say online is, and social media is the best. The best way is the best way to make people know about you and about what you really love to do. Absolutely. Both questions, yes. To sell it is a little bit more tricky since there are different budgets and sizes. So for small works, for something like affordable, social media is fantastic. People are reaching out directly, or they go to the website. If there are studio sale or something, they pick up something for their homes or for their collections. A lot of commissions are coming this way because people, they can see that you are doing commission, for example, and they want to learn about it more, so they reach out, and sometimes they commission something, and yeah, students, absolutely, because especially you see, everyone should like I'm more concerned about the social media which is less successful for me, least successful, YouTube, for example, because I don't invest now in my YouTube channel a lot since I have no time, but every time I can, I do something for YouTube, because if for teaching, YouTube is fantastic because YouTube gives you platform and possibility to share something important, to teach someone something without limitation of time or format. People can watch it on their smartphones, or they can watch it on the big screens anywhere. Instagram or TikTok or even X, Twitter, they're more confined to laptop or smartphone screens, but YouTube can be watched on normal TV. So you can actually show many things, and you can teach in more free way, and with like more possibilities. I would say more possibilities to teach. So when people can learn something from you, most likely they will want to follow and to see what you've got else and what you can offer, which type of mentorship, which type of offline workshop maybe, or online something. So YouTube is very important, in my opinion. So Instagram as well, because Instagram also can show the process. You can just make short tips and create interesting narrative, not just to entertain or to impress someone, but also to share certain knowledge, to show what can be done, and yeah, like to help people. So yeah, for teaching, there are just absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Just the last advice I would give to everyone who is marketing or doing promotion and thinking about considering different social medias and stuff. I do believe that your own website is the best platform, and it is most important platform you need to constantly think about, to invest and to care about, because everything should lead to your website. So please visit my website, book what I'm doing, join my mailing list. There are all links you need to all my socials, to teaching offers, to bootcamp, contact form to get to commission waiting list, and even gallery where you can purchase the work directly from me. So yeah, the website, artfulgain.com.
paint what you love, you know, and, you know, kind of, yeah, just, I think that's the key to it, you know. I think if you go in with like a marketing strategy and things like that, it's going to be harder, you know, it's going to be harder. And if you just start small and build from that, it becomes easier. Because a lot of times you get into a trap where you may have some studio overhead cost or whatever, and you feel like, well, if I paint this, then I can, you know, afford that. And you just get way out on an island that you don't want to be on, and painting stuff you don't want to paint. And it's difficult to enjoy painting. That's probably the most important thing, you know, like to be successful and enjoy what you're doing, you know. Because yeah, someone asked me, I think my dad, it's like, are you still enjoying it? I'm like, hell yeah, you know, like, yeah, for sure. You know, this is what I've been doing the whole time. And you know, I don't know if I want to say this part, but you know, like I've done it, my parents, no help, you know, like no money. So it's been tough. You know, because I didn't go to college. I went to junior college, but no, like you know, official diploma or anything like that, you know, degree. That's another thing that's good. You don't need a degree or anything to teach, generally, unless you're doing an accredited university. And even then, you don't need it really. But you know, I've taught at fashion schools, taught all over the place, and yeah, they just care if you're good and you can convey, you know, the message in a pleasant way, I guess. But yeah, for sure, you know, paint what you love, and you'll figure out how to make a living from that, you know, if you start small. I think that's a good final thought.
I think they absolutely are. I have made so many great friends through going to some of the events, like the OPA National Convention was just 2 weeks ago, which I didn't go to this year because I was in Rome. But every time I go to one of those, first of all, it's a nonprofit, which I love. I love the nonprofits. I see people I haven't seen, that I see once a year or I haven't seen in 10 years. I learn because they have great demos. It gets me away into an absolutely, you know, art 4 days where that's all that's going on. The tips that you learn from each other are amazing. And OPA, I'm not trying to really push OPA, but I'm using it because it's the most recent thing. They have shows all the time. When you get your work in those shows, and some of them are online, some of them aren't, but you're getting exposure and visibility. And when you go to those shows, you just plain can't help but meet people.
Yeah.
So I think those are great opportunities, and there are a lot of good organizations out there. Am I going to say you have to be in every organization that's out there? I couldn't keep up with it personally, but I think you pick and choose what you want to do. But some of the plein air events are so much fun. I've been at the plein air convention before, and I've demoed there, and I've painted there, and I see people that I would never see again if I didn't go. Or I get to paint with someone that I used to paint with, you know, 8 years ago in Tucson. I mean, they're all great opportunities. I think in person, I think we can't do everything online. We need to get out there and see, touch, and feel, you know, and sit and talk.
It's very useful. I mean, in terms of marketing and your brand, I mean, there's never been an easier time to get your artwork in front of eyeballs if your aim is to sell your art. I have many good friends who they have no interest in selling their art, and they are fabulous painters. So that doesn't apply to them. But if you are interested in selling your art, getting into galleries or whatever it is, the internet is a wonderful tool if used wisely. when I first started, seeking out commissions, there wasn't an internet. It was all, can you imagine? It was all done by, oh, let's send out a mailer, let's send out a holiday greeting card, et cetera, et cetera. But the good news of that was you were doing direct one-to-one marketing, where you were sending a handwritten note to the person. You knew the person, they knew you. And that is something that I'm still very grateful for, because those early commissions, those people are still now reading my email newsletter. And we're talking 20 years later, their kids have grown up, and to me, that's something really to learn, that one-to-one is still very, very important. And I think in terms of marketing our art, we have forgotten that, for those of us that are really in the sort of newer world, digital world, forgotten. And, in my opinion, and I can only speak from my own opinion, but Instagram and Facebook are just part of what I think I should be doing. My main thrust is still as much direct communication as I can get with people is still my goal. I mean, I'm, even in the thrust of my artwork, I'm interested in the direct interaction with people, the sitter, the person on the street. I'm a people watcher. I'd rather be sitting in a sidewalk cafe than in a forest. That's just me. I'm interested through my portrait art in, the unique thread of humanity that connects us all. And I know from my face project, which was a project done over a good 7 years, and it was tied in with 3 different newspapers, one in Ventura, one in Malibu, and one in Charleston. And the sitter would come in, do a 2-hour sitting, no more, because they're real people, they're not models. And then they would be interviewed for their life story, what they felt about being painted, and that would go into the newspaper's cycle. So that, to me, the sitter's life story was as important as, my painted sketch. And some of those sketches talk about putting your ego at the door. They weren't that good, but in fact, a lot of them weren't that good. But my thrust was, or my mission was, the direct interaction. So the moment that person left the room, their essence had gone. And in my opinion, for me, if I start touching it up from a photo afterwards, it looks more polished, but it's not the life force there anymore. So you have this juggle with, and my juggle was, no, I'm doing it that way, and it worked for me. And it was a tremendous experience. I think I did, oh my goodness, 67 people for the face of Ventura, I think 58 for the face of Malibu, and then I did 18 which is one of my most favorite series of portraits, the face of Malibu Rebuilds, which was people who had lost their homes in the Woolsey fire. So talk about seeing someone at their lowest, and I interviewed those people and did watercolors of them, when they were no longer in their houses and they were in floods of tears. But yeah, that was the most extraordinary experience. And that will be the thing that I will never forget, the power of that. And I actually get a bit choked up talking about it now, because it was just such a powerful thing, and how also that art, as simple as it was, because these were pen and ink and watercolor drawings, it somehow meant something to them. And also, getting their little story, their big story in the paper about how they lost their fire, what they were doing. And by the way, this was the very early days of the fire. And I was displaced in a hotel too. The backside of my house got badly hit by the fire. So I was doing this from, a hotel that, with a bunch of the fire refugees. And yeah, that's the power of art and how it can help just a little bit. It's not going to bring their house back, but it did help. It was, and I got so many emails after each one of those came out that it meant something to them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because that's basically what we seek as creatives, and what we seek as people who make images. The image isn't complete until you have someone who views it, right? And just as you're saying too, with having a sitter, there's that connection. right? You
Mm.
want that, like, you're seeking that connection, and you're seeing them in their most vulnerable state as well, and you're respecting it. Alongside with
Telling their
capturing it,
story.
of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
Telling
telling
their
their
story.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is
Yeah. Yeah.
that is, one of the greatest goals, I would say, for someone who is a portrait painter is, like you said
Mm.
earlier too, to capture that essence of that person and to basically be a safe place for them to be themselves and to be vulnerable, which, like we were saying earlier
Yeah.
too, there's that, I feel like that's a little bit what's missing in the world today. And I love that you still do, the one-on-one, and you prefer that over online, which I completely agree. Even today, I would recommend for people to do what you're doing with, or what you used to do with sending a postcard, or like
Still
connecting
do.
with those people. Yeah, because I think even today we value that one-on-one connection even more,
Yeah.
Also from your reaction to having painted these people and created
Yeah.
such an amazing series of paintings as well. That's a
Mm.
lot of lives that you have touched, which is, I can
Well,
only
and
imagine.
they've touched me too. It's a
Yeah.
two-way street, and the conversations that we had. And by the way, in the Face of Ventura, I linked in with a newspaper and all those sitters went on to a radio show too. So after the sketch had been painted. So it really was about, telling their story. And I think that's what made it powerful, actually. And I will say, if you're going to do these kind of things, again, if you're interested in putting your artwork out there in terms of marketing, and we have to talk about marketing,
Yes.
be kind of thinking, well, what is the end game of this as well? Because going off and painting 130 portraits of people is a big time commitment, as doing a show like this. Those things are a time commitment. You've got to arrange it, you've got to do this, that, and the other. And it was a significant part of my yearly thing doing that. So I was very aware right from the beginning that they were never going to be for sale, that they were, I think I sold one of them and then said, well, I did sell one of them and it was a very bad idea, changed my mind and asked if I could have it back and give her a painting instead, which she lovely so agreed to, because the Boone Special Collections Archives had asked if they could take the Malibu and the Rebuild series into their collection. And she was one of the paintings that was missing. And I needed to have her included. So in terms of marketing and building your brand, just decide where what you're aiming for. I mean, I really wanted those portraits to be archivally stored somewhere. And I just started with that intention from the very beginning. And it took a lot of effort and a lot of very good people in the towns to help me achieve that. And that goes back to the one-on-one contact with people, the people that are your connectors, just, nurture those, the connectors, that somebody famous, and I hope I'm not misquoting, but, if you have 100 sincere collectors, that will last you a lifetime. And I say, if you have 50 serious connectors, people who like you, like your art, and stay with you over the years, that will take you so far. The connectors are as gold as the connectors. Connectors are as gold as collectors. So I would say always have in mind, the mountain you're trying to reach in terms of, well, could this go somewhere? So with the 365 days of drawing, there was a show, there was a book, self-published book, there was a article in American Artist magazine that was. So never think, oh, I've done this, that's it. Like, think, well, what can I do with it afterwards? Because a lot of the stuff for me happened after the individual town projects were finished. Yeah. The paintings were in storage, and then I said, well, now I start what do we do with this?
Yes. At BoldBrush, we inspire artists to inspire the world, because creating art creates magic, and the world is currently in desperate need of magic. BoldBrush provides artists with free art marketing, creativity, and business ideas and information. This show is an example. We also offer written resources, articles, and a free monthly art contest open to all visual artists. We believe that fortune favors the bold brush. And if you believe that too, sign up completely free at boldbrushshow.com. That's BoldBrush show.com. The BoldBrush Show is sponsored by Faso. Now more than ever, it's crucial to have a website when you're an artist, especially if you want to be a professional in your career. Thankfully, with our special link, faso.com/podcast, you can make that come true and also get over 50% off your first year on your artist website. Yes, that's basically the price of 12 lattes in 1 year, which I think is a really great deal, considering that you get sleek and beautiful website templates that are also mobile friendly, e-commerce, print on demand in certain countries, as well as access to our marketing center that has our brand new art marketing calendar. And the art marketing calendar is something that you won't get with our competitor. The art marketing calendar gives you day-by-day, step-by-step guides on what you should be doing today, right now, in order to get your artwork out there and seen by the right eyes so that you can make more sales this year. So if you want to change your life and actually meet your sales goal this year, then start now by going to our special link, faso.com/podcast. That's faso.com/podcast.
Well, I mean, Faso has been great. I know you want me to say that, and they have.
Well, you can say it if you really feel it.
I do. Actually, I have really enjoyed being on. I was a very independent person at the time they came to me and suggested I get a website with Faso, and I've really come to appreciate the ability to have an e-commerce side to it, and so I've been using it. I try to hide it. I kind of make little galleries for just a select group of people, and then I'll try to sell to those people. And so it's been nice to have that functionality. So that's been great, actually. And I have sold quite a few through the website. So very grateful for that. I have never been that acceptable to galleries. I think because I cannot bring myself to repeat very often. And so it's like I'm just trying to paint everything in the world at least once. You know what I mean? It just seems I don't know where that part of my personality came from. Yeah, I haven't found a home in the gallery world so much. And I tried early on, and I've quit trying because it would be useless to get into great galleries unless they really wanted to represent me and were excited about that. So I've kind of put that on the shelf. I'll be okay with that someday if somebody comes to me and wants to represent. Right now, I let just regional galleries represent me, and many of them would be laughable to my peers, but I've sold through those places just fine. And so there's not a whole lot of prestige maybe in some of them, but it's really fun. Like one lady that lives in the middle of nowhere that's a potter and a sculptor, she has my work in her house, and she has groups of people that come and she'll serve them a meal, and she'll walk them around the house and show them some of the paintings she has. And I've sold through there quite a bit. So that's really fun. Yeah. By the way, you need to look that lady up. Her name's Ingrid, and PBS did a special about her. They did a movie. They have a show called Deep South, I think it is, or something like that. And they did an episode called Ingrid, and it's about an hour and a half movie on her life. And it's so interesting. It's just terribly interesting. She's like a feminist dream because she even left her family at one point and just went to the middle of nowhere to become who she is. And, she's very honest about those parts of her life, and they're just beautiful. So yeah, very good movie.
Yeah.
But, so I'm honored to be associated with her, but it's not a prestigious gallery, I would say, necessarily. So I guess it's just been getting to know my collectors has been the greatest marketing technique for me. I do enjoy people, and so going to plein air events, exposing myself to lots of people seeing me outdoors painting, doing well at those events. So continuing to go so that once in a while I'd win something, or that's opened up a world of collectors to me. And so those become your best followers. So you almost need to meet the people, you know, and then they see that they like things about you, and you connect through conversation. And then when they start following you on Instagram and Facebook, they have they already have that background with you, and so you'll get a lot of sales that way, you know. And so that's really exciting when somebody that I met 12 years ago, that's been following me all 12 years, you know, comes to me for a commission, or says, you know, it's been 10 years since I bought a painting from you, and now I want to buy one. And, you know, and so a lot of those will just pop out of the woodwork. There's other streams of income for a self-employed person, you know, and I know a lot of friends have started making prints and other ancillary products, but I avoid that. Like I'm not interested in that at all. But I love teaching. And so once I started finding teaching, there's all kinds of ways to make little streams of income as a teacher. And, you know, we're all becoming aware of that very quickly. I think it was Patrick Krasinski or something like that. I was just on his Instagram page the other day and realized he's got this link tree with all kinds of opportunities that you can learn from him. And that's a probably smart way of doing it. I'm gonna let him have it though, because I'm more into teaching regionally now, and I really love face-to-face teaching. And so I live in the most dry part of the United States for doing that kind of thing, and I can still make a pretty decent stream of income through that. So there's hope for anyone, I would say.
One thing I did, I'm trying to remember when I did it. I don't remember, but I had started trying to sell, and I realized quickly that I wasn't very good at selling art, because as an artist, we're taught, I mean, you're taught how to paint. You love what you do. You paint what you love. But actually trying to sell your work took something else, and running a business took something else. So I took a community class on business, running a small business, which was actually super helpful for me, because it helped me realize that I'm in the business of selling stuff. So yeah, I'm a businessman, right? I mean, yes, I'm an artist, but I'm also trying to sell my work. So that was super helpful. The other thing is just I kept trying to practice at it. You know, when I go to shows, I would go up and talk to people. And a lot of it is just coming down to talking about what you love, which is your work, right? And so the other thing that was key for me was that I finally realized it wasn't my job to get everybody to like my work, because that's impossible. Right? You're just not going to, you can't do that, which is good, because so many people have different tastes. So many people like different things. They connect with different things. So my job was just to paint what really spoke to me, do the best I could, and then find the buyer that would connect with that, you know, and that just helped open up any kind of pressure of like, oh, what should I paint? What will sell? You know, and that kind of things. And it's so tempting to go in that way and think, oh, wait, what's going to sell? No, connect with what you're going to connect with, paint what you love, and the buyer, you will find someone that will connect with that. You know, you just got to then find them. That's the hard part, right? Well, one hard part. And that's where the marketing comes in, and understanding your market. So understanding, you know, who you're actually trying to sell to. And that is a key thing. So I think the business side is something to learn as an artist.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I really love that you mentioned, you know, how it's very easy to try to fall into the trap of selling based on the market rather than vice versa, right? Where like you build the market and then you sell. And that's a great point, because especially with like social media and, you know, people being easily influenced by what they see and other people's successes, it might, you know, pull them in the wrong direction.
Yeah, right, exactly. And you might be tempted, you see someone else and you're comparing to them and thinking, oh, well, I've got to do something like that, when really just trying to be authentic to who you are will be your best tool. Because you have a unique voice, you have a unique thing to say, We all do. And the buyers or the patrons or whoever's looking at your art, they have their own experience, right? That they bring to something that they see. And that's what's great. It's that communication, right? It's just we don't get to necessarily tell them what to think. But that's good. That's okay. You know, that's what makes the art world wonderful, you know, and open.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it's very funny because I think there are some people who have a perspective that there's a lot of competition. And I'm inclined to disagree because there's room for everyone and there's room for every type of taste under the sun, basically. So I don't think it's competition, you know? That's like if everyone is competing to be the best friend of everyone. Like,
No,
no
exactly. And it's because we're going to connect with different people in different ways. And it's not, I think whatever, I'm always excited when I go to these events. For example, some events I sell really well and some events not as much, you know, but it's okay. Like my friend might sell really well at one event and I'm excited for them because we want the art world to do well. So if anyone's buying art, that's helping all of us. You know, it's not like, oh, that took away from mine. No, that buyer connected with that painting and they bought that painting. You know, I tend to think of it that way too. I think we help each other and it's a positive world, not oh wait, you stole something from me. I don't think we need to do that because there are so many people in the world, right?
What happened to me I'll make it up here because it's almost like I can't tell what a year is anymore because a year goes by for me. It feels like about 90 days or something. It's pretty odd. But so I'll just say like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I became disgusted with my own lack of understanding about marketing. And so I went ahead and put the brushes down for I think like 6 weeks, which is quite a spell. And then began to just read everything I could and try to immerse myself into this and really get a better understanding on marketing. And which helped. All that was beneficial. Then I went ahead and found a couple of coaches. In fact, I'm still working with a guy out of Australia, and there's another guy out of. I was getting coached by two guys, one out of Australia, the other guy out of Atlanta, Georgia, and I'd have these weekly coaching sessions, you know, when they were helping me with marketing, and that transformed me also because it's very comprehensive actually. And what happens when you begin to understand and get a better grip and dig into marketing, it actually helps you in the creation of your art. You wouldn't think it would necessarily, but what it begins to do, it helps you start to get a grip on your audience that you're creating the art for. And so, for example, like we'll just use Nashville, that maybe that's the center for country western music, we'll say. Those guys know exactly what their audience is, you know. And when they craft a song for their audience, and they're making a song that they enjoy, that they love making, but they also understand what their listeners and what their audience, what will appeal to them, and so it's a win-win. And so what happens once you begin to understand marketing and maybe building an avatar for the kind of person you're in fact trying to create your product for and so forth. And I'm not saying make something that you don't like. That's not my point. But the very best thing that can happen is that you find something that you enjoy making, and you find out it's also happens to be something that the audience is seeking. And so when you have that convergence like that, which is happening in my own life, frankly, right now. So when that happens, then you have the best of everything because it's all synergistic, you know. And so. But a lot of that understanding with marketing and so forth continues to affect almost everything that I do right now, including concepts for paintings and so forth. And, you know, that creative element, it's a little mysterious even to me, you know, that how you can kind of put all this together and go to sleep and wake up in the morning, you've got an idea that maybe you didn't have when you went to sleep, and maybe your subconscious worked on that, whatever, I don't know. But the bottom line is that something pops out. But this marketing element actually influences that as well. You know, whatever pops out of you, you know, and then that again affects what you end up producing. And so As far as marketing, so what happens is this is interesting because marketing will always take time. Marketing will take time. Now, the time could be you beside some easels at a park with your work, and you're interacting with people that may walk by in the park, and maybe you're talking to them about, them buying your art. That's taking time. Took time to set the easels up, to drive there, set your art up, and so forth. Time. So there's all that investment of time. So that same little micro example can be applied to almost everything. There's always time spent to end up being a success in art via some marketing vehicle, and that vehicle can be that thing in the park. It can also be a gallery. The gallery is simply a vehicle to market your art. A show can be a vehicle to market your art, and so on and so forth. And so as long as we understand the vehicle and the price we're going to pay, whether it's time or a percentage that you give away of money rather than your time to stand there, and so forth, it's all picking a vehicle and what's going to be the most successful fit for you. Maybe it's time on Facebook, maybe it's, however that's done, maybe it's social media, like I'm saying. It's just finding the vehicle that fits your own predilections and, what you feel is going to be your time spent best with your personality. And that's all marketing. And in my particular instance, I work hand in glove with the galleries that I'm in, and it's pretty remarkable because it takes a very special gallery to work with me. I'll just say that, and that's no criticism against anybody else. It's just what we have. Part of the reason why I would say I would assign my success to is that I have galleries that I can take and give concepts to, and they will spend the time to take these concepts, and maybe I'll give them 8 concepts. I'll pick the number 8, and I'll say, well, here, these are concepts that I've come up with. What do you think about that? And what they'll do is they'll actually take their high net or ultra high net worth clientele that they have this relationship with that I don't have, that they've gone ahead and fostered and poured themselves into, but they'll take the initiative to go ahead and run those concepts past their clientele, and then the clientele will say, well, I think I don't like it, because I like them all, but that doesn't mean that the clients will, the people with the money. And so they'll go ahead and say, well, here, these, and maybe they'll pick 3 or 4 out of the 8 that are winners. And so then I'll go ahead and produce the 3 or 4 paintings, we'll say, and I know you'll be shocked to hear they're selling before they're off the easel in many cases, because they're virtually pre-sold. In fact, there's a national show here in the West Coast that wanted me in the show, and a guy got a hold of me on behalf of the guy running the show, and he said, well, here, we just want a painting. He says, Mummert, I don't care what it is. We just want one of your paintings in the show. And I said, well, gosh, that's flattering. I said, I don't have anything. And he said, come on, every artist has got paintings hanging around their studio. I said, dude, I don't. I said, come on over. He was a local guy that called me. And he said, no, I said, his name was Mark. I said, Mark, come over to the studio. You find a painting, you can put it in the show. I said, I'm wiped out. The only painting I have is on the easel. Now and he said, really? I said, Mark, yes. And I said, if it wasn't that way, something's wrong, because I want, that's the level of success that I hope for, And so, and the good news is that I'm very blessed that that's been happening that way. But I'm trying to give you kind of a glimpse behind the scenes of the mechanics so there's this marketing stuff that's affecting the way that I create the concepts. And I get feedback from my galleries as well. They'll tell me, well, they don't like this, and this is why they didn't like it, but they'd like this, and this is why they like that, and so forth. So I'm getting all this live feedback. And I feel that all success is based on all progress, I'll just say it this way. All progress is based on a feedback loop, on an accurate feedback loop. So I couldn't even walk to my car if I closed my eyes, which are my feedback loop. If I try to walk to my car, maybe my hands become my feedback loop or a stick, and I can try to find my way to my car. but it's all based on feedback. And that's critical to an artist, because what happens if we don't have feedback, and that could be feedback from someone standing at their easels in the park, and people are, and they're talking to them, they're interacting, and they'll say, well, gee, you know, I like this landscape here, but I don't like the dog you painted here. Well, why not? You know, and then you can start to get this feedback. So that will all benefit you. And maybe sometimes we don't like hearing that, but I think it's all beneficial. I think even the bad stuff will help us. You know, we can go, well, I don't think I'm going to do that again. You know, we can learn. But it's all based on this feedback. And my galleries are very, very efficient and very good at doing it with me. And not every gallery is prepared to do that. There was a gallery, I was up in Carmel, California, which is an amazing small town. Have you been there?
No, but
Have you been there?
I've heard good things.
It's amazing. And it's just this high net worth, we'll just say, a very charming town that has, last time I was up there, they had 82 galleries in this little small area. So it's just a little mind blowing. And so I poked my head in. I was actually asking marketing questions to one of the sales guys in this large gallery up there. And they said, well, and so he introduced me to the owner. And I said, listen, I'm an artist. I don't want to take your time. You know, if you're busy, please, you know, I'll let you go. Oh, no. And so they wanted to talk to me. And so then, well, you're an artist. Let me see your art. And so the easiest thing these days is to whip your phone out, you know, and you can show somebody a picture of your art. Well, the next thing I know, they've got the other owner in, and they've got me back in a room, and they want to carry my art, you know, and which I mean, wow, that's very flattering. I appreciate that. And so we're talking about percentages and all that stuff, you know, and okay, well, we'll see. Well, as it turned out, the reason why I bring that up, as it turned out, they were not prepared. They said, listen, you make 10 paintings, and then we'll pick 6 out of the 10 that we like, and we'll take the 6. And I thought, well, if I do 10 paintings, I want all 10 to sell. I don't want to just have 4 back in my studio, right? And I said, well, you know, because every region and market is different. So Carmel will have a different market than Santa Fe, New Mexico. And Santa Fe, New Mexico will have a different market than downtown New York City, you know, so forth. And so ideally you're creating, just like the Nashville with the country western, you know, you're creating product that's going to be a success in that market. And they weren't willing to spend the time to give me the feedback to be a success I felt, you know, in their market. And I understand that. I'm not here to criticize that. It's just that I'm looking for a gallery, and actually, in fact, I'm fortunate to work with galleries that will invest that time, and it's been very successful for both of us, frankly. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's so funny that you mention, you know, that you give the gallery like your list of ideas, and then they test those, right? That's essentially what a lot of product marketing is. They get test groups, right, to test out a product and how it's the colors on it, the flavor, the everything. That's basically what you did.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's been powerful, frankly, you know. And again, you know, we'll get collectors that'll take, and they'll say, well, they'll see the progress. I'll actually take some progress shots and send them to my gallery, and the gallery will go ahead. Galleries will go ahead and show the progress shots along the way, and then somebody will say, well, I want that, you know, and here's not done, and makes it nice, you know, because it's not sitting on the wall for 2 years, you know, and you're kind of going, oh, why is that thing still there? So it's been very wonderful, and it helps the cash flow too. And I'm going to dovetail that into something else too, because I tend not to do shows, and the reason, and I've been very, very, I mean, it's been very blessed to take and have shows contact me to want me to be in the shows. And I always tell them I'm so humbled that you even think of me. I appreciate that, you know, but I tell them, you know, I don't think I'm going to do that, because again, a show is a vehicle. And so it happens. So if the show is going to go ahead and sell my art, well, then I have to go ahead and sandbag the art. I've got to go ahead. I can't just have this constant cash flow. Do a painting, sell it, do a painting, sell it, do a painting, sell it. Now it's do a painting, park it, do a painting, park it, do a painting, park it, and add and collect inventory so that I can finally go ahead and, oh, the deadline for the show is coming up. Yay, I've got 3 to 5 paintings. I crate those babies up and I ship them. Hope nobody puts a forklift through them on the way, to the show, which happens. And I've had art damage from shipping to a show. And then I had one show that just wouldn't give up on me. And I'm talking to one of them, and this very sweet girl, and she said, listen, we want you in the show. We want this. And then finally, I said, this is what I can send you. We'll keep talking. Appreciate that. I'm sorry, I'm a bit busy, but let's do this. We can do this. And she said, okay, now we'll need you there the night of the opening. We'll need you this one, and all these stipulations. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. So what you're saying is I have to go ahead and pay airfare, hotel, rental car, food, all, not paint. I'm not at my easel, so I'm not productive while I'm doing all this, so I can take advantage of your marketing vehicle. Right. And so the good news for me is that I've got a very successful profile in place right now where I'm just going, I appreciate you guys. You're wonderful. I thank you for even being interested in me. I think I'm going to pass for now. Maybe that'll change next year, but I think I've got to stick with what I'm doing. And I'm just trying to be very gracious because it's wonderful that they even think of me. That's what I feel.